Peace, what's cracking? Conservative Rap, Patrick. In this video, let's talk about the panic happening in DC. Investigations are happening into Comey, into Brennan, and one thing's going to lead to another. Trump is an expert. The Patriots are an expert. The good guys are an expert at trapping the enemy in their own narrative. What they do is they drip info out. It's almost like a sting operation with like undoing a mob syndicate, which because the deep state, that's exactly what they are. They're a criminal syndicate. They're a mob. They're no different than any other criminals. They just have suits and ties on, and they operate under the veneer of official government. They drip info out. This is what the Patriots do. Then they let them counter with lies. Then they put more information out, and it's like a slow process. There's a book, it's called Government Gangsters, that details this. Kash Patel, it's a book. It's also a documentary that's excellent, highly recommended. Obama was behind a lot of corrupt things, and it's going to take, I'd say, until after the midterms where this stuff really starts coming out, because we need to cleanse the intelligence agencies. We need to cleanse the judiciary so we can actually hold people accountable. A lot of people on the right who are aware of this stuff are in angst. They're upset because they're not seeing, especially with Epstein, right, justice coming forth. But remember, we have to wake the people up, and we also have to put the instruments in place where when we go after them, the case is done, which may even be like military tribunals ultimately. So question, did Epstein work with the CIA? Was he collecting information on world leaders and influential people, then using that as like blackmail for the deep state? With Epstein, remember, a lot of it's going to go beyond trafficking, beyond the child trafficking, beyond the sex trafficking, which is horrible in its own nature. There's a story that's slowly being built. And this is the dismantling of the deep state. It took a while. It took decades, generations for them to build their nest and infiltrate the United States. And it's going to also take time to break it down. When you think about it, relatively speaking, we are moving highly accelerated, right? They're fighting back as we're dismantling them. The Federal Reserve will loan money to the government. They'll create these fictitious non-government organizations to launder money, and no one was really looking out because they own the agencies that were supposed to like audit them and monitor this. This is what Cash is doing right now. Bongino is doing right now. Bondi, that's what they're doing right now. They're cleaning out these agencies. Let's take a look at some examples, and you'll see exactly what I mean. Over on X, right? Check this out. This is by Data Republican. A while back, she had a thread, and it was on who they have in LA right now, Karen Bass. And it just goes to show you. Remember this thread where it was pointed out that LA Mayor Karen Bass was a Castro operative? Well, we may have to upgrade Karen Bass to an actual foreign terrorist. Reminder, this is the woman who was vice chair of NED. Credit to Lamb's Apple for finding this, and it reads, in these documents, intelligence officers accused one plaintiff of making death threats against police officers, accused another of fostering racial strife, and contended that a third plaintiff traveled to Cuba to learn guerrilla warfare. Plaintiff Karen Bass, according to the 1973 intelligence document provided to the Times, traveled to Cuba with the 6th contingent of the Venceremos Brigade. The brigade trains revolutionary prone Americans in terrorist attacks, tactics, and guerrilla warfare while claiming to harvest sugarcane. Bass, characterized as a brigade leader, returned from Cuba to the USA bringing back propaganda literature, the document noted, without citing the source of this information. So I recommend, if you aren't already, giving both definitely not Karen Bass, giving both Data Republican and Lamb's Apple a follow. It's really fascinating work, including this original thread she's referencing from back in June. Next, moving on quickly, more on ICE, right? The immigration stuff, because that's what they need to do. They don't have the American people. Democrats are not supported by the American people in mass, right? Once you leave these liberal enclaves, these New Yorks and Californias, etc. Assaults against federal officers and agents have risen by nearly 700%. That will not stop us from enforcing immigration law. And then he moves on. I'll let you determine how accurate this is. Wall Street Apes put this on. I thought it was awesome. How many illegals are really in Los Angeles, California? This is the 101 freeway, one of the busiest freeways in LA. This is just outside of LA, heading into LA at 8 a.m. on a workday. If you've been to LA, you know how insane this is. Illegals are hiding from ICE, and it's. I thought.
I don't know if anybody's familiar with Los Angeles, but I'm actually on the 110, literally about 5 miles from downtown. Where the fuck are the cars? I almost felt like it was a Sunday. Where the hell? Holy shit. Look at this. You know what, Trump? It's working,
Keep it
brother.
up. Yep.
Please keep working. Work harder this time. I mean, I know you've been working pretty damn hard, and we love you for it, by the way. But good God, there's no more traffic in Los Angeles. Yay!
All right. Amazing news, and a variety of opinions on this. It's pretty interesting, but check it out. Now, moving on to Epstein. I like this by Mike Lee. I've been asked today, Senator Mike Lee, right? He's coming out with it. Why I think Jeffrey Epstein might have been a government asset. Let's unpack. His connections, wealth, and influence raised red flags. Was he just a financier or something more? Epstein's plea deal in 2008 was unusually lenient. Sex trafficking charges dropped, 13 months in a cushy jail cell with work release, prosecutors hinting at intelligence ties. The U.S. attorney handling the case said he was told Epstein belonged to intelligence. Coincidence? His personal network was a who's who list that would make a king blush. Politicians, royalty, tech moguls. Why did so many powerful people trust a convicted felon? Was he collecting dirt for someone? Blackmail operations used for honeypots? Epstein Islands fit the bill. Flight logs show VIPs on the Lolita Express. No scrutiny for years. FBI and DOJ slow-walked investigations. Did powerful people shield him? Government agencies routinely use shady figures to gather intelligence. Think MK Ultra and COINTELPRO. The source of Epstein wealth remains unclear, to put it mildly. No clear record of how he amassed his vast fortune. Shell companies? Shadow accounts? Sounds like a setup for laundering or funneling funds. Government assets are known to get sponsored to play their role in this manner. His death in 19, quickly ruled a suicide, occurred in a high-security jail cell, one designed specifically to thwart suicide attempts. Cameras were off, guards were asleep, news questionable. Too convenient? If Epstein was a government asset, and to be clear, I have no knowledge of that beyond what I'm saying here, gleaned entirely from public reported, non-classified sources, silencing him would presumably protect the puppet masters. Who benefits from Epstein's silence? Counterpoint. Maybe he was just a rich, unusually creepily remorseless sex offender who had access to exceptional lawyers, but the dots, including his plea deal, connections, wealth, and death, don't add up cleanly. Why so many protections for one man? What did he know? Some say we may never know the truth. I refuse to accept that. Either way, the Epstein saga screams cover-up. If it's eventually proven he was a government asset, that would help expose how deep the rot goes. The American people are smart and remain genuinely concerned about what happened here. We must not accept efforts to sweep this under the rug, which is what Epstein tried to do with his victims. So again, thank God for the internet, digital soldiers putting things out. This is where we're going. And then just further on this, guys. Further update. Epstein was renting property from the Deep State Department, property that was formerly an Iranian government building seized by the U.S. after the Iran hostage crisis. Give lamps apple a follow, which is a joint research effort. Moving on, just quickly on vaccines, right? Breaking, 6 major medical groups, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, just sued HHS for illegal conduct on vaccine approval. This is Lauren Lee on X, and RFK is smiling. Why? They just walked into his trap. One he's talked about for years. Here's the game plan. Bookmark this. If this is proven right and RFK removes vaccine liability, that's the real goal. Lately, some in the medical freedom world have questioned why RFK Jr. hasn't already pulled COVID shots from the market. But it's not that simple. If he moved too fast, pharma would hit back hard and win. Instead, he's following a careful strategy that he's talked about at length for years. RFK has said plainly, over and over, there's a rule in federal court called the Daubert rule. If you think Coca-Cola made you obese, you can't sue Coca-Cola unless there's a critical mass of studies, maybe 20 to 30, that say that's what it does. Once you get that critical mass, then you can go to a jury. Once enough science is out there, the lawyers are going to comb down out of the woodwork, and they're going to represent 1 million kids with diabetes. And the company's going to say, simply, we're not going to make this product anymore. That's the key. His goal? Achieve a critical mass of replicable studies that can survive every legal test. So when pharma finally stands trial, they lose. And RFK knows how to win in court better than anyone. So what counts as critical mass? Look at Dober versus Merrill Dow in 93. The court protected the pharmaceutical company despite most would consider overwhelming evidence, numerous animal studies, substantial in vitro data and independent studies, expert testimony, personal witness testimony of harm. In another case, Zoloft, an SSRI manufactured by Pfizer, allegedly caused congenital heart defects and other birth defects when taken during pregnancy. The evidence presented by plaintiffs was substantial. Multiple epidemiological studies, numerous animal studies suggesting teratogenic effects, case reports and adverse event data from FDA's own database, and meta-analyses attempting to synthesize the data to argue for causation. The court still sided with Pfizer. Vioxx from Merck was also protected under the Dober rule, even with the Vigor trial showing heart attack risk, observational and post-marketing data, internal documents, cardiologist testimony, all thrown out, and Merck won. That's where this lawsuit comes in. That's the battlefield RFK Jr. is walking into. He knows he has to prepare for it with military precision. To defeat pharma, he needs ironclad, replicable science and multiple other lower-level verdicts on his side. So, again, people are waking up. It's time to bring the deep state operatives to justice, and it's time for retribution and precision to uncover the sick, uncannily wicked nature from the finance side with the Federal Reserve, the pharmacy side with RFK, and the actual operatives behind the Democrats and the Rhino who have been governing us for years. What say you? Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, share, and check me out at ConservativeRap.com for more. Wonderful weekend, and here anytime. Thanks and take care.